Welcome to the intelligence stack.
It's good to be here.
I want to start with a story today. It's a corporate war story, really. One that plays out, in boardrooms and Zoom calls way more often than anyone likes to admit.
Okay.
So picture this. You're in a quarterly budget review, the air conditioning is humming, everyone's on their third coffee, looking at spreadsheets, and a VP stands up, looking incredibly pleased with themselves.
That is usually a dangerous sign.
Oh, absolutely. So this VP, he presents a massive win. He announces they've just saved the company a fortune by avoiding a $380,000 annual contract?
Okay, for a managed data platform, like a Snowflake or something.
Exactly. The big players, Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery.
380 grand. I mean, on paper, that looks like a hero moment. That's a nice end-of-year bonus for someone.
It is. The slide deck is glowing. And they explain that instead of writing that check, they're going to build a self-managed system, using free open source tools. They'll spin up some Kafka, maybe some Spark. They'll just hire 2 engineers to run it. Problem solved, they say. Money saved.
And what? Everyone claps.
Everyone claps. But here's where you come in, because you're looking at that slide, and based on the numbers we're talking about today, you're seeing something completely different, aren't you?
I am seeing a disaster in slow motion.
Yes.
Because let's unpack the math that the VP conveniently left off the slide. They hired 2 engineers, right?
Right. 2 infrastructure engineers to manage the stack.
Okay. So in this market, for that specific skill set, we're talking Kubernetes, distributed systems, you aren't hiring juniors. You need seniors.
Right.
So when you factor in salary, benefits, taxes, overhead, the fully loaded cost of those 2 humans is roughly $460,000 a year.
Hold on. Let me run that back. They saved a $380,000 invoice by spending $460,000 on payroll.
Exactly. They literally spent $80,000 more.
Wow.
More to get a system that they now have to build from scratch. And it gets worse. Because that open source system, it doesn't come with an SLA. Those 2 engineers, they now have a soul-crushing 2 a.m. on-call rotation.
So the win is actually an $80,000 loss plus burnout plus a slower system.
It's what we call the savings trap. And this really is the mission for our deep dive today. We need to completely change how we calculate the cost of technology, because companies are obsessed with the invoice while ignoring the human costs that are quietly bankrupting their data teams.
It's the arithmetic of the invisible, which leads us to a number from the research that I think is going to shock a lot of people. It's what we're calling the 44% tax.
This is a number that should be, it should honestly be tattooed on every CIO's forearm as a warning.
44%. Break that down for us. What exactly are we taxing here?
We're taxing your talent. That 44% is a percentage of time data engineers spend just maintaining pipelines. This isn't building new features. This isn't innovation. This is just keeping the lights on.
But hold on, let me play devil's advocate for a second. Maintenance is part of the job, right? You change the oil in your car, you patch your servers. Why is this specific 44% so toxic?
Because of what they are maintaining. Think about the reality of it. You hire these brilliant engineers, you promise them they'll be building AI models, working on the cutting edge.
Okay.
But the reality, they're babysitting connectors. They're updating schemas because a field name changed and broke everything. They're debugging memory issues because someone ran a bad query.
So it's not strategic maintenance, it's digital plumbing.
Exactly. It's low-value, high-stress work. And financially, it's a disaster. If you apply that 44% to the average engineering salary, you're looking at roughly $520,000 per company per year just wasted.
$500,000 just to maintain the status quo.
Yep.
And that's just the maintenance. I saw a stat that suggested this creates a massive rework loop, too.
It does. It's not just that they're busy. It's that the infrastructure is often unstable. The data shows 60% of data practitioners regularly have to rework dashboards and data products.
Rework them, why? Because the business changed its mind.
No. Because the underlying infrastructure broke. The pipeline failed overnight, the data is stale, the dashboard is throwing errors.
That is insane. You're paying senior talent, expensive talent, to do the same work twice.
That's it. Imagine hiring a master carpenter to build a custom table, but the floor in your workshop kept collapsing. So instead of building, they spent half the weeks just fixing the floorboards. That's the DIY environment.
And it seems like the industry knows this. There's almost universal agreement on it.
Oh, it's not a debate anymore. 97% of data leaders agree business outcomes would improve if teams stopped doing this manual maintenance. It's a consensus. We all know it's a problem, but we keep falling into the trap.
Which brings us back to the money, because I want to push back on this a little bit. I'm the CFO. I look at the P&L. I see a massive line item for Snowflake or BigQuery. It's $300,000, maybe $500,000. That's a real number. I flinch at that.
And that flinch is natural. It's human to look at the big number on the invoice, but it's based on a complete misunderstanding of the modern cost structure. You have to look at the 928 rule.
The 928 rule. Okay, walk me through that.
In modern data infrastructure, people, they account for 92% of the total cost of ownership.
92%.
Right. The tools, the software, the platforms, the licenses are only 8%.
Wow. So the software bill, that big scary invoice, is basically a rounding error compared to the payroll?
It is. The CFO is obsessing over the 8% because it's a single invoice, it's tangible, but they're ignoring the 92% that walks out the door every evening. Let's look at the specific math again, because this is where it gets really stark.
Okay.
A single data infrastructure engineer, fully loaded, costs between $17,000 and $23,000 a month.
Per month. For one person. But surely, for a small setup, one person is enough. Can't you just have one wizard running the show?
Absolutely not. And here's the kicker. You can't just have one.
Because of the bus factor, right?
Exactly. If your one Hadoop admin wins the lottery and leaves, your entire analytics capability goes dark. You need redundancy. You need at least 2 people just to cover vacations, sick days, and, sleep.
So now you're spending, what, $34,000 to $46,000 every single month?
Every month, just to keep the plumbing working.
That's over $500,000 a year. And that's before you've generated a single insight. You've just paid to keep the server from catching fire.
Precisely. And what a managed platform does isn't just reduce that cost, it eliminates that entire category of spend. You aren't paying people to keep the server running anymore. You're paying a vendor to do it for less money and with better uptime.
So if the math is this clear, why do companies still choose to build? Why does that VP still get applause? I mean, are CFOs just bad at math?
No, CFOs are great at math, but they are being tricked. This is my favorite part. It's what I call the budget shell game.
A shell game, like on the street corner.
It's exactly like that. It's about where the money hides. See, when you buy a managed platform, that cost sits under IT. It's one visible invoice. The CFO can see it, forecast it, and crucially, they can kill it. It's a big target.
Well, it's staring them in the face. Here is the bill.
But when you decide to build it yourself, you take that cost and you atomize it. You scatter across the organization so nobody sees the total.
Okay, walk us through that. Where does the money go?
Well, you need those 2 engineers. That cost goes to the HR or people budget. And hiring engineers is seen as a good investment, right? We're growing the team.
Right. Headcount is a proxy for growth. Nobody gets fired for hiring engineers.
Exactly. Then you have the servers, the EC2 instances. That goes to the infrastructure budget. Then you have the patching and security work.
InfoSec budget.
Right. And then, when those bored engineers quit because they hate their job,
you have to pay recruiters to find new ones. Talent acquisition.
There you go. You've taken one clear cost and laundered it through 5 different departments.
That's the ghost cost.
That's the perfect term for it. No one owner sees the total bill. So build looks cheaper because the costs are hidden, while buy is a terrifyingly visible dollar sign.
That is actually kind of diabolical. It allows organizations to lie to themselves about being efficient.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
It's organizational cognitive dissonance.
But there's another argument I always hear. It's not just about money. It's about control. The engineering lead says, if we use a vendor, we're locked in. If we build it ourselves, we have total control.
Ah, yes, the control illusion. I love this one. My question is always, control over what?
Well, control over the stack, the configuration.
But what does that mean in practice? It means control over a 2 a.m. pager alert. It means control over a 3-week sprint just to upgrade a Kafka cluster. That isn't a feature. That is a burden.
You're saying they're confusing control with chores.
Exactly. I use the bakery analogy. Imagine a restaurant that insists on growing its own wheat because they don't trust the bakery down the street.
That would be ridiculous. You're a restaurant. You make food. You aren't a farm.
Precisely. Unless you are AWS, you have no business building infrastructure. You are a company that uses infrastructure to deliver value. You should be baking the bread, not growing the wheat.
And we have evidence that this bakery approach works better. The sources mention Cisco.
Cisco's a great example. If anyone could do it themselves, it's them. They migrated from an on-premise Hadoop system, a classic grow-your-own-wheat set up to Snowflake on Google Cloud.
And the results were staggering.
They were. They saw 60% cost savings. But more importantly, 10x faster query performance and 99.99% uptime.
The 60% savings is huge, but let's talk about that 10x performance. Does it actually matter if a query takes 2 minutes instead of 20 seconds?
It changes everything. Think about flow state. If you're an analyst trying to answer a question, and every time you ask, you have to wait 20 minutes for an answer, you stop asking questions. You lose your train of thought.
Right, you disconnect.
But if it takes 20 seconds, you iterate, you explore. What about Ohio? Okay, what about Cleveland? What if this product line? That 10x performance is the difference between waiting for a report overnight and getting real-time answers in a meeting.
And that's where the control argument falls apart. Because in the DIY world, to get that speed, you have to over-provision, don't you?
You do. You have to provision for your peak usage, for Black Friday, let's say. But you have to pay for that server capacity all year round.
So it's just sitting there idle in July, burning cash.
But with modern platforms like BigQuery, you get auto-scaling. You pay for what you use. Google's research shows this can save up to 54% in total cost, just because of that.
Okay, so we've covered the hard costs, the hidden costs, and the efficiency. But I think we're missing the biggest piece, the so what? Why should the CEO care about this?
The opportunity cost. This is the most important part.
We need to shift the question from what does the platform cost to what is it costing us not to have it?
Yes. Every hour your best engineer spends debugging a cluster is an hour they are not spending on something that actually makes money.
Give us some examples. What could they be building instead?
A churn prediction model, real-time dashboards for the sales team, or, and this is the big one right now, they could be training LLMs on your proprietary data.
That's the differentiator. Every Mord is asking, what is our generative AI strategy?
Exactly. But you can't have AI if your data team is stuck in the plumbing. McKinsey found that companies integrating cloud and AI get up to 7x the ROI of their peers. 7 times.
So by saving $100,000 on a platform, you might be missing out on millions in revenue because you couldn't ship the AI product fast enough.
That's it. You cannot capture that 7x ROI if your best engineers are acting as glorified plumbers. You are effectively capping your own innovation speed.
That's a powerful way to frame it. You're trading potential growth for the illusion of savings.
And that trade-off is getting more expensive every single day.
Okay, let's bring this all together. Let's recap the core math for everyone listening.
Sure. Bottom line. Option A. You do it yourself. You hire 2 engineers. That's about $460,000 a year, plus hardware, plus burnout, plus risk.
Option B, you buy the managed subscription.
Right. That might be, say, $350,000 a year, but you get 0 on call. You get 99.9% uptime, and your engineer is free to work on things that generate revenue.
The verdict seems pretty clear then. You aren't saving money by avoiding the platform.
No, you are just moving the expense to a place where nobody is counting it. You're playing that shell game with your own budget.
I love that. And it leads us to a final thought I want to leave everyone with. We look at these platforms as a bill, but maybe that's the wrong frame.
The platform is not the expense. The platform is the liberation.
Say that again?
The platform is the liberation. Stop comparing the invoice to 0. Compare it to the revenue you aren't generating because your team is too busy fixing the pipes.
That's it. That's the takeaway. Stop fixing pipes. Start building value. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Thanks for having me.